What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. Today, I wanted to showcase Dewgong in the Open Great League. This Pokemon has stood the test of time, doing what it does best for many years now, and that is debuffing opponents with Icy Wind. It is a Pokemon that is pretty flexible as well, being able to throw drill runs against certain counters that you might see, and also having just the ability to debuff things that even are bad matchups. It's kind of a crazy Pokemon. I paired it with Talonflame, which is a fantastic core breaker than Gastrodon as well. Let's take a look at the battles and see what Dewgong can do. All right, let's get right on into game number one. Here we're going to see Talonflame in the lead up against a Gastrodon. All right, so this is a decent matchup. We are a fire type into a water type, but we're also a flying type into a ground type, so that is why this matchup is good for us. And some of these Gastrodons, while they have been running water pulse, I'm not really expecting it this time. I'm going to see what they're going to do here. Fly will come through. They actually do let it go. I'm going to come in with Dewgong now, actually. Since they're staying in so long with Gastrodon, I'm kind of wondering, why is this happening? Are they scared of Talonflame? Maybe I should save it for the backline, and I'm going to come in Dewgong here. Looks like they are going to save their Gastrodon with a little bit of energy on it. Actually, I think they have quite a bit. They're almost at an Earth Power right now, so we do have to keep that in mind. In comes a Malamar, which, while this is a decent answer to Dewgong, we are going to get two debuffs off before they're going to throw a single charge move. They could have got a superpower off before I got this second move off if they wanted, but a superpower would have debuffed their defense stat. It wouldn't have knocked us out, so they do just want to overfarm here and get to back-to-back moves. I know I can survive this. I debuffed them twice. Super effective superpower will do a lot of damage, but not quite enough to take us down here. We can come in Talonflame, farm them down, and not take that much damage, because at this point, this is a -3 attack Malamar. That foul play does almost nothing to us. What is going to come in to try to farm down our Talonflame? In comes their own Dewgong. I guess they read the title of the video. They wanted to try it out themselves. Dewgong is going to be an interesting matchup into Talonflame. We're doing a lot of neutral damage back and forth. Fly is neutral, Incinerate's neutral, all of the ice-type damage from the Dewgong is neutral, but what is very nice is having such a big energy lead heading into this matchup. Because I had all of this energy, I can strip both shields from this Dewgong, do quite a bit of Incinerate damage, and I also have a Fly ready to go. I can chuck this against this Dewgong if I feel like it. I could potentially clear the debuff as well with my own Gastrodon. I am totally fine with this catch. If we remember earlier in this video, I said this thing stored an Earth Power, so even though they caught that move, they just lost an entire charge move of energy, so that is a very worthwhile trade in my opinion here. In comes their Dewgong, though again, they're going to spam out Icy Winds, but at this point I know I have plenty of health on my Gastrodon. I can survive another Icy Wind, I can get off this Earth Power, take out the Dewgong, and win this game with a lot of neutral matchups here this whole match. We do see the top left GG's to our opponent. Our next matchup, Talonflame up in the lead against an opposing Talonflame. I hate this mirror matchup. Mine normally seems to lose CMP, despite having a little bit of attack on it. I guess people have a little bit more than I do. So if I win CMP, I'm in a pretty good spot. If I lose it, then I'm in a good spot, as long as this is a Fly. If this is a Brave Bird, that is going to suck. Yeah, they just one-shot us right off the bat there. I honestly hate to see it, but I kind of had to make that call there. That's like one of my only ways of being in a good position there is if they go for Fly in that mirror matchup. Luckily, our Gastrodon, when it comes in to try to deal with that Talonflame, they do instantly swap out to their Shadow Drapion, and I'm going to be able to shield once from them all the way down and actually have enough energy to maybe deal with their Talonflame at this point, but it is still very awkward, right? We are basically down 3 Pokemon to 2 at the very start of this battle, so if we can get anything out of our Gastrodon, we're going to try our best to. What is going to come in here now? It's going to be the Shadow for Alligator. All right, are they going to try to call a Body Slam bait? Do they let the Earth Power go? They do. That's fantastic news. That's probably exactly what I needed to see here. I'm going to get off a Body Slam as well. We had so much energy farming down that Shadow Drapion. Will we see a shield? They finally do shield that up. They obviously have no idea what our final Pokemon is this game, so they didn't really know exactly where their shields needed to go, and now I see a clear path to victory. Either no shield a Fly or shield a potential Brave Bird. I'm going to shield this time, and the Brave Bird is what gets thrown. Luckily for me, I am able to shield that up, get this Icy Wind off, so even if they reach a Fly, it's not going to knock us out, and if they don't, I just get my Icy Wind if they try to reach for a Brave Bird. We're going to try to reach this move here. At the last second, we reach it, and now even though that Shadow for Alligator does have a little bit of energy on it, they can't knock out both our Gastrodon and our Dewgong before we farm them down. In comes that Shadow Gator. 2 Ice Shards is all it takes to farm them down. GG's to our opponent, barely winning the game after losing one of our Pokemon within the first 10 seconds of the match. Alright, another pretty good lead here, the Wigglytuff. Normally these are paired with Mudboys, but this time we're going to see a Poliwrath. That is a safe swap, I guess. This is a good thing to see in this matchup because our backline is actually a little bit weak to this Pokemon, I'd have to say, right? Dewgong doesn't want to see this in the slightest. Gastrodon's pretty neutral, but I mean, whenever they have the ability to debuff us, it's not the best matchup in the world, so I want to play this out with our Talonflame. I know Charm is not really that big of a concern, and this is a Power-Up Punch Poliwrath. That is such an interesting moveset because that means they're a little bit quicker to charge moves, but it also means since they didn't go for an Icy Wind or a Scald, my attack stat is not lowered just yet. Since they did shield up that move, but I'm going to shield myself here. I want to be able to make sure I knock out this Poliwrath, even though I know it's an Icy Wind. They did boost their attack with that Power Punch. Make sure they don't swap out here. Throw in the middle of that counter. This Fly will take out this Poliwrath despite me being at -1 attack, and we'll see what they're going to come in with this game to see if I want to swap out or stay in this matchup. Who is going to try to farm us down here? They're going to eventually come in with a Mudboy, but that's a very interesting Mudboy. That's a Quagsire, not a Gastrodon, which means that we're going to be able to throw this Fly against them, get them very low, put them into range where our own Mudboy can farm them down, and now we're going to hard swap to make sure that we don't give them a huge farm down against us, and this Mud Slap damage is adding up quite a bit. They will be able to throw 2 Aqua Tails, but because of Gastrodon's kind of decent bulk here, we're not going to get 2-shot, right? Even though Mudshot has been buffed with its damage, it's not putting us into 2-shot range just yet. They're likely going to come in Wigglytuff here now, and we will get this Earth Power off, doing a solid chunk of damage to them. They don't have any energy left over on that Shadow Quagsire. This Wigglytuff is going to take a long time to get to moves, and I still have my Dewgong that I can just come in, absorb all the damage. They realize at that point there's not much they can do. I love this team because Charm is not really much of an issue. This is an issue, though. The Shadow Drapion, not a Pokemon I really want to see here. We're going to save swap our Dewgong, try our best here to flip this matchup. If they stay in, that's going to be good for us. If they swap out after this Crunch, depending on what they swap into, that could be a little bit uncomfortable. This Crunch does put us below half health, and they do try to make a catch here, but they come in with Azumarill. We see the catch coming. I'm still going to go for the Icy Wind. You might think that's an odd play, but by going for the Icy Wind here, I actually guarantee that I can survive the next play rough and get off this drill run, maybe even get out of this matchup, which I think is going to be important. I know that I don't want to give them a huge farm down with this Azumarill against our Dewgong, so I will swap if they let me. They're going to throw a Play Rough. It is going to do a solid amount of our health, but it's not going to knock us out just yet. We can swap to our Gastrodon, because I know Gastrodon is probably not going to have as much play, saying there was a Shadow Drapion in the lead. I'm just going to let the moves go here, try to overfarm, try to get some sort of advantage on Gastrodon to make it so it has some play this game. What are our opponent going to do here this game? I don't know exactly how we're going to play this out. We do throw the Earth Power right when they potentially get to an Ice Beam. They don't end up throwing it, though, so this Earth Power will take out the Ozu if they don't shield it, which they do not. In comes their final Pokemon, a Malamar. So it actually looks like this team doesn't have a ground resist, which is fantastic news for us. They're relying on their Azumarill to just kind of take out the Mudboys and Mud Slappers in general, and we get a defense drop here on that Earth Power, which is fantastic news. It means now we can just Mud Slap this down. That Shadow Drapion still has a little bit of health left over on it, but I think we have enough health on our Gastrodon that we can do a solid chunk of damage just with fast moves, get maybe even 2 Body Slams off to get both shields, and then with my fast move pressure that I have with my Gastrodon and my Talonflame, I think we can win this matchup. We do go for the Body Slam here. It will knock them out, or at least put them into fast move farm down range if they end up letting it go, and they do have to shield that. With that said, this Shadow Drapion's been overfarming a lot. It had energy from before they swapped out, so I know they will get to 3 Aqua Tails here, but I also know I'll get 2 Incinerates off in return to make sure that I put this thing into fast move farm down range. We still have our Dewgong left alive that is not going to get Poison Stung down in one move, but it will be a little bit close, right? It's a very, very tight end game here. Terrible lead for us, but I think Dewgong should be able to come in, Ice Shard down, and just barely take the win for us in that match. GG's to our opponent. All right, next game, Talonflame up against an Azumarill, a very negative lead matchup here. This actually isn't the worst water type to see because you can survive and get to Brave Birds and Flies in the Zero Shield matchup, but it's definitely not amazing for us. In comes, I guess it's a Morpeko, right? We're kind of ABA weak to this. With that said, though, Dewgong has a ton of play into Morpeko. If you shield every other move that they throw, you can always make sure they don't land that super effective electric type Aura Wheel against you. You can always debuff their attack stat, make sure that they're not ramping up too much with these Aura Wheels, and I can always no shield the second. I know this is only going to be, it's not even a +1 Aura Wheel. This is just a default Aura Wheel at this point. I know it's going to do a lot of damage still, but we will actually win the 1-shield matchup, knowing how to play around this. And because they did boost their attack, and now I'm going to lower their attack, they're still not boosted at all. Unfortunately, our opponent doesn't shield that. They actually end up letting us farm them down, meaning that this Azumarill is going to get a huge amount of farm. Very well played on their part, actually recognizing that maybe energy advantage could be more important for them than shield advantage in this game. It's going to be interesting to see what their final Pokemon is going to be, though. We've seen Azumarill, we've seen that Morpeko. What are they going to pair with it? That's a very common duo, but their final Pokemon here is going to be a Talonflame. This is a very uncomfortable matchup being down energy, but I need to call either the Brave Bird or the Fly correctly. I'm going to no-shield my Talonflame once again. This time we do not get one-shot by the Fly, and it is, or the Brave Bird rather, we call the Fly, and we throw the Fly of our own. This matchup is going to be very, very close, though. That Azumarill is still pretty healthy, and our Gastrodon's in range where we would get knocked out by another charge move. I didn't want to give them farm, they didn't want to give me farm, so we both just opted for the simul KO in the Talonflame mirror matchup there. Honestly, a very high level play by our opponent. I would have loved a little bit of extra energy on our Gastrodon, but they did not throw a charge move, meaning that I did not get that farm down, and now they let that Earth Power go. I need to hope I can reach back-to-back body slams here and knock them out after getting these 4 mud slaps here. Is this going to be enough to KO this Azumarill? It's going to be so close. Gastrodon, please, I need you to do this. Please tell me I flipped this matchup. He survived with, is that 1 HP? If this is 1 HP, every time you throw a charge move and they shield, it does still do 1 damage. I can KO through the shield. No, they had 2 HP left over. Dang it, man. That was so close. Almost able to flip that matchup there, but unfortunately our opponent did play extremely well, and they took that match from us. GG's to them. Alright, next matchup, Talonflame up against another Gastrodon. Mudslap is everywhere, which is why I love Talonflame right now. It's a great answer to them, and they come in with their own Talonflame. This is a much better matchup. I don't really have a hard answer to this Pokemon, but if they're ever down energy against my Talonflame, I can always win the 2-shield matchup and actually come out of it with a decent amount of health, probably enough energy as well to be able to get to a fly against whatever is going to come in. So I'm really not that upset about the way this is playing out. We do reach the fly right now. I'm not going to CMP them. If they call this, they can reach a Brave Bird and get another shield from me. That is probably their best play to do, which is exactly what I think is about to happen. They no-shield that. We throw another Incinerate, and now this will knock us out if I didn't shield. The Brave Bird does come through. So they do get shield advantage, despite me being in a pretty good spot in the mirror match there. Just really good calls from them, throwing the fly, then the Brave Bird, and calling my second fly. But in the back, we're going to see that they come in with a Dunsparce. Now, see, I could swap out here. I could hard swap to my Gastrodon, but I know that would be a bad play because I can reach 2 flies here, and Incinerate and Fly, despite getting completely roll-outed down here, would start chunking this Dunsparce. They're forced to throw energy before I throw that second charge move, and now I have the alignment I want. Gastrodon here. I have my Dewgong as well that can line up into their Gastrodon. So as long as I'm not going to be super far behind energy with our Dewgong into their Gastrodon, I can reach 2 Icy Winds before 2 Earth Powers are reached, and I think we're going to be in a good spot to win this game. As long as we don't let a catch happen, we called it a mile away that they'd try to catch right when we got the Earth Power. So fortunately for us, we get to CMP here. This first move, they do win CMP, but I will get to my second Icy Wind before they get to their second Earth Power. They can throw a Body Slam beforehand, but it won't be enough to knock us out. And all I need to do is I need to soften up this Gastrodon. I don't even need to win this matchup necessarily. I just need this Gastrodon not to be able to put in a ton of work against mine, and my Gastrodon needs to land the Earth Power against their Dunsparce to win this game. I know I survive a Body Slam. We've debuffed, we've debuffed them, and now we are going to be able to land yet another move here. Even if this doesn't knock out, we win this game. And if it does knock out, we're going to be able to just swap right back into Gastrodon, throw the Earth Power. This might not be quite enough damage to knock them out at this point, but it will be enough to put them into fast move farm down range. Yeah, literally 1 Mud Slap at this point will do it. A Drill Run is not going to come close to knocking us out here because we resist these rollouts. We are not going to be put into 2-shot range. Very, very close match there, but just barely able to win that one. GG's to our opponent. They played that one actually very well. Right, another Azumarill in the lead. We're going to swap once again to our Dewgong, but this time their response to Dewgong is a Shadow Alolan Sandslash with Powder Snow. This is not really an answer. Obviously, we do resist Powder Snow quite heavily. They resist Ice Shard, but because we're up energy, and because we're actually just the bulkier Pokemon, and we're not taking super effective damage, we survive 2 Drill Runs, whereas this Alolan Sandslash will not survive 2 of ours. We do go for the Drill Run. I could have Icy Winded there. It wouldn't have knocked out, but it would have guaranteed that they would have done a lot less damage. I just want to guarantee shields, because our team is so strong against Ace-Slash. At this point, I just want them to go and use some sort of resources here, whether that's going to be shields, energy, both. It would be a very big waste of them to let their Ace-Slash go at that point. I just wanted to guarantee that. They do end up having to throw energy to knock us out. I can farm them down with Talonflame. We know that Talonflame has Brave Bird, right? Brave Bird is one of the best moves in the game. It will do a massive amount of damage to this Azumarill when it comes back in, which is exactly what we see here. They will be at a move that they can throw against our Gastrodon, but that's fine. I don't think they're going to shield this. If they double shield, they go down 2 shields to 0. That's going to be a recipe for disaster for them. Luckily, though, they don't do that. They do let that move through, which is going to be our hardest hitting move we could have gone against that Azumarill, and in comes their final Pokemon, a Dewgong. Alright, well, this is going to be a very neutral matchup here. We've seen it before, and I think this time, actually, we are up 2 Mud Slaps. If you get a 2 Mud Slap advantage, you get to 2 Earth Powers before your opponent gets to 2 Icy Winds, which is such a huge swing here. It means that you can knock them out before they're even going to be able to threaten a shield here. If they want to shield this, if they want to double shield, once again, I'm totally fine with that. We farm them down with Talonflame. If they no shield, then we're also going to be able to just win this game by going for Mud Slaps, going for Body Slams, and taking them out here with our Gastrodon. See, I probably should shield this move, right? Because I know that Gastrodon could get a shield, and I wouldn't take anywhere near as much bubble damage, but we are using a Talonflame. I just want to assert dominance against them here. I'm going to go for the double fly. We're going to get a lot lower in HP than I was really expecting to, but I wanted to go for the double fly. I wanted to knock them out with Talonflame. So we will be able to reach the next one here, and they top lifted the last second. GG's to our opponent, just kind of playing around that game. All right, next matchup here, the Talonflame up against the Malamar. A very, very neutral matchup here. One of the most annoying things about this, though, is Malamar can be paired with almost anything in the game. You can't ever predict what the backline is going to be. So what I'm going to try to do here is just get some sort of advantage, maybe switch, maybe shield advantage, depending on how this Malamar wants to play this out. I can go for the fly. I can probably draw a shield from them. If they don't shield this, it's going to do a massive amount of damage. Give me probably a switch advantage. I could just shield farm them down, Brave Bird the backline, which they do end up actually shielding that move. All right, since they wanted to shield, I'm going to shield myself, and I'm actually going to go for the Brave Bird here. This way, they're going to get less farm on whatever they come in with to farm me down, or if they double shield, they'll get maybe 1 or 2 side waves at most, which is going to be a lot less energy than they'd probably want to get. They do end up shielding that move, so I have 2 choices here. Either come in Dewgong or come in Gastrodon. I don't really know what the good play is going to be here, right? I'm going to absorb all the energy I can with our Dewgong. I feel like at this point, we kind of just have to sack it, because if I invest in Dewgong and they have counters to it in the back, I'm in a lot of trouble. But if there's poison types in the back, which I've seen a lot of poison plus Malamar duos, then we're going to be in a decent spot. We do end up no-shielding that move. They actually bait us, I guess, with a foul play, which is fantastic news for us. In the back is a Carbink, and then a Venusaur. Okay, well, we don't like seeing Venusaur here. My only hope is that I can knock them out with this Earth Power. If they let this go, well, they don't have shields left, so it's going to land. If this gets the knockout, we might still be able to win this game. They live on 1 HP, but they're just going for fast moves at this point. They don't throw their charge move. They do a lot of damage with that one Vine Whip, though. That could be enough to flip this matchup, make it so this Carbink farms us all the way down. If they do farm us down, we're going to lose this game. At least potentially, if they're running Rock Slide and they can get to 2 moves before a Dewgong can reach a Drill Run here. But after landing all these Mud Slaps and that full-on Earth Power against this Carbink, they're in range where a Charge Move will knock them out here. All I need is to reach this Drill Run before they reach another Charge Move. They're running Power Gem. It's going to take a lot longer to get to 2 moves here. The game frame drops on us, and even though we had the move, we over-tap, but we still get the move off before the second move from this Carbink. If that costed us the game there, I would have been so upset, but luckily, we were able to take out the Carbink and barely take out the Venusaur as well with the Dewgong and the Gastrodon backline. Alright, Shadow Dragonite, a very tricky Pokemon for this whole team. I'm not quite sure how we're going to beat it, and this is not helping things. There's going to be a hard answer to our Dewgong, this Ferrothorn, that swapped out quick enough to CMPS on this first charge move. So I'm not debuffing the attack stat here. They do a massive amount of damage. I get my Icy Wind off now, though, which probably makes it so they can't really Bullet Seed us down before we get to 2 moves, so they're likely going to throw energy here pretty soon. I don't really want to land my next Icy Wind here. What I want is I want them to knock me out, so I can get the reverse farm with our Talonflame, get energy against that Dragonite, and start chipping it down whatever way we can here. Come in instantly with Talonflame. Luckily, they didn't have any energy coming out of that matchup, so they weren't able to get to a Thunder. If they got a Thunder off, that obviously would draw a shield, but now we have energy advantage against the Dragonite, which is what we need to start drawing shields from this and putting them into a range where we can potentially win this matchup. They are going to be able to get to a move here right before we reach our next fly. I'm going to throw it blindly. I know I need to get this second shield to make it so I can body slam them with Gastrodon and potentially win this match. But they make a catch. They catch on Azumarill, which is a catastrophic catch for me. By catching that move, now I'm not going to be able to draw the shield with that, with our Talonflame into that Dragonite. I have to come in with our Gastrodon here and build up as much energy as possible. I know at this point, though, 1 Body Slam is all it's going to take to knock out that Dragonite. 1 Body Slam plus maybe a little bit of fast move pressure. So as long as we keep a lot of energy here, we can be in a good spot. I overfarm, not really for any reason other than to make sure that they are in range where I can knock them out with this Earth Power. They do end up shielding that anyway. I'm actually a little bit surprised by that shield. I know I survived this move, and I have a Body Slam loaded. I need to watch for that Dragonite coming back in. They don't actually bring it in here. I was waiting to see if I could see it in the top right corner, to see that typing change to throw the Body Slam instantly, but it does not come in. So I have the double Body Slam. Might as well throw 1 against this Azumarill, throw 1 against this Dragonite. I don't think it's going to be quite enough to knock out, but I think it will put it into either 1 Mud Slap or 1 Incinerate range. We come in with Talonflame, we Incinerate down, and just barely take the match against the Shadow Dragonite. GG's to our opponent. Our next matchup here against an Azumarill. A lot of Azumarill leads today, I guess. Luckily, though, this time using Talonflame, we actually have things in the back that can kind of answer this. Obviously, Dewgong is not a hard response to an Azu in any way, shape, or form, but it's much better than Talonflame, so we're going to bring it in. Just try to soft lose this matchup, set ourselves up for some sort of farm down with either our Gastrodon or our Talonflame later on. Play rough will be reached by them, and now we're just going to spam out charge moves because it looks like they are going to be in this one for the long haul. They aren't swapping out, so they're probably a little bit weak to our Dewgong in the backline, I have to assume. So this drill run will be thrown. If we can get to 4 drill runs, that would knock them out, but 3 don't quite do it. And if they want to, they can throw 3 charge moves against us before we're able to throw that 4th attack. So Dewgong will never win the Zero Shield matchup here, but at least I put in a fight, right? I neutralize this so our Talonflame doesn't really have to see it, and we CMP on the next attack. I think that was actually on an Ice Beam, which I mean, it probably knocks us out at this point, but it's going to do so little damage to our Dewgong. I'd love to see what it would do at, well, full health Dewgong, but this will likely knock us out here. I think I put it into range, though, where 2 Incinerates can knock them out with Talonflame. I'm willing to trade 3 bubbles for 2 Incinerates. This energy is always going to be useful. What comes in here, it's going to be the Shadow Drifblim, so I'm going to overfarm as much as possible here. They did lag a turn, so I throw on what would have been alignment to make sure I throw on good timing. This Fly will draw a shield almost certainly from the Shadow Drifblim. I'm going to throw one more Incinerate, then throw another Fly, and we are 1 Incinerate away from our next Fly. So if we don't get farmed down here by these Astonishes, I can actually reach triple Fly and potentially win this matchup, but they make a fantastic catch on their Diggersby. With that said, I see a way to win this game. As long as this Diggersby does not end up debuffing our Gastrodon here, I can knock them out, take 1 Scorching Sands, and then make sure I knock them out with the Earth Power to still win this matchup. Please don't debuff me. It's a 30% chance to lose this game here and now. We win this game as long as this doesn't happen. They get the debuff. The reason that we're going to lose this game now is because this Earth Power won't knock out. I'm going to have to shield the Diggersby. If I didn't have to shield here, I could double shield the Drifblim with our Gastrodon despite not having a ton of damage into it. Yeah, they survive on 1 HP. You gotta be joking me right now. But I have to use my shield here, so now I can't shield all the energy this Drifblim has, and they are going to be able to double Icy Wind me. I'd have to make a catch to make this work, but since I'm using a 3-turn Pokemon, I know for a fact they can just wait. They can see when I'm going to swap in here, which is exactly what they do. I needed to have those 2 shields loaded so I could clear the debuff, double shield my my Gastrodon against this Talonflame. Unfortunately, they did play pretty well. They made a nice catch, so hard to be mad about that, but it is always so annoying when you get debuffed and you lose the game because of it. Alright, yet another Gastrodon in the lead. This time, though, we are going to stay in, see what they're going to do. I don't know, I haven't seen many Water Pulse Gastrodons, at least none that have thrown it against me recently. This time, I'm going to go for the full-on Brave Bird. Last time, they ended up shielding. This time, or they ended up no-shielding, rather. This time, they end up shielding. So I cannot make the call correctly for the life of me here. I'm going to try to go back into my Dewgong. They throw the Earth Power, and they get the Defense Drop. We are not getting super lucky with these chance debuffs here. They end up catching an Icy Wind as well. Looks like that was on a Dewgong, so we're going to see how much damage an Ice-type move does to a Water and Ice-type Pokemon. You can see almost no damage comes through there, which is not amazing for us, but we do have the Drill Run ready to go now. Honestly, after landing that Icy Wind, I think we might survive a Drill Run on our Dewgong, which, you know, maybe that's helpful. Maybe I can swap out of this matchup at some point. They're overfarming so much energy. I'm going to catch the move here on our Gastrodon, but they waited. Did they see what came in? Did they throw the Icy Wind rather than the Drill Run? They actually did. Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, that's a good play by them. Luckily, they are debuffed, so this Dewgong's really doing no damage to us at this point. We still have our Talonflame with a lot of energy. In comes the Malamar in the backline here. I know that we are double debuffed. This isn't going to do a ton of damage, but it will start chipping them down, right? These Mud Slaps are still chunking quite a bit. Earth Power is still a pretty strong move, and we are likely going to be able to reach a second charge move before they're going to be able to farm us all the way down. They throw energy here, and I think I see my win condition this game. Invest everything that I have into Talonflame. We're going to be able to go for an Incinerate here, try to Incinerate this all the way down. If they're in range of one more Incinerate knocking out, I'm in a very good spot, but if they do survive this next Incinerate, that will be very uncomfortable for us here. We do end up trying to come in Dewgong, snipe them down with the energy, but we end up getting that Ice Shard off and forcing them to throw energy against us here. So now I know that is 1 Incinerate range to be in. They have some energy on their Gastrodon. I don't think they have quite enough here, though, where they're going to be able to get to 2 Body Slams before we can get to 2 Flies. I'm going to farm up as much as I can. I have 100 energy. This Fly will be reached. It will knock them out if they let this go. They have a shield, so even if they shield, I can just back-to-back here, take out this Gastrodon, and now I just have to hope that if I tap my screen fast enough here, I'm going to get enough Incinerates through to knock out both this Dewgong and then also this Malamar. Actually, this Dewgong, I'm going to have to throw a charge move against, make sure they throw the Ice Shard there, get the Fly off, knock them out, and then Incinerate down that Malamar, just barely, potentially winning this matchup. GG's to our opponent. Fantastic game, very well played by them. Honestly, Dewgong is probably one of the safest Pokemon that you can really have in this meta, right? It is able to debuff its bad matchups, just kind of neutral game its way through a lot of matchups in the game as it is. It's a very fun Pokemon, but it is a little bit annoying to try to fight against a lot of the time. These debuffs can add up and they can get pretty annoying, but it is just such a solid pick. Alright, well, thank you so much for watching today's video. I stream my battles basically every day at twitch.tv/ItsAXN, so if you want to see this kind of content live, please make sure to check me out there. Also, I'm going to upload a lot more to the channel, so if you want to see more content like this, please make sure to subscribe. Alright, well, thanks again for watching, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.